And healing is interesting. Like the using the word healing, like you're thinking about closure, you're thinking about acknowledgement, and and sometimes you don't get any of
You
those things,
don't.
right? And so, where do you put that, right? Because that healing isn't necessarily going to be external; it has to be internal,
Right.
right? So, to me, that's where my layers are.
Right.
That it's when we think of like the structure of our skin, the dermis and the epidermis and so forth, and
Right.
you scratch a layer,
Right.
that layer might heal, but there might be still some soreness underneath as the other part is slowly beginning to, fuse together and heal as well.
Right.
And I think that's a lifetime journey,
Yeah, it
because
is.
the more I learn about myself, the more I realize that the active part that I've played in experiences that I walked away feeling that healing was necessary. Like it was that duality, right? That space of looking up and going, I have a responsible part in this experience. Welcome to the circle,
where we tap into the journey of life, spirituality, and wellness. We are the BoujAunties.
Hi.
Oh my
welcome,
God.
welcome to the BoujAuntie experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Back in from Jamaica.
Yes.
But we should announce ourselves.
We should. We should.
Okay,
We should.
go.
When are we gonna get accustomed to this?
Listen, I feel like everybody should know us by now. I'm Khadija,
Jameelah,
and we are Wellness Griots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, I'm sitting here really thankful for this sun that's shining.
Yes.
Yeah, because it feels good.
Yes.
It feels
yes.
good. Yeah.
Very energizing. This is exactly what we need for the month of August, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, the fiery month.
we're here.
Yes.
With all the sun.
Yes.
And all the heat.
Yes.
Speaking of which, what have you been doing for the summer?
Oh my God, hot footing it. Trying to, like right now, I'm paying for my hot footedness.
Okay.
Gotta rest a little bit. But I've been going to the beach and stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Which beach you were going to?
I went to Belmar in New Jersey.
Oh, I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, we need to go.
It's nice.
It's nice. I like it.
All right.
We need to go. We need to go. It's clean. The water's somewhat clean. Nothing beats the water in the Caribbean.
I'm not saying that. I'm just listening, and I'm happy for you that you're at the beach.
We got to get some sun and sea.
Yeah. We just came back from Jamaica, and we went to two beaches.
Right.
One in Kingston that I was really surprised about how much the water had eroded.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like there wasn't a lot of beach area, and it was also hot. Like even the water was hotter than it was. So
really?
Yeah, it made me really recognize this global warming thing.
Right. It's real, right?
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
And then we went to Lime Cay, which is like a small little island. You take like a 20-minute small boat. You hear what I'm saying? Small? It's a small island. It's a small
really
boat, but it's a very big ocean. Right? I was like, what am I doing on this ocean?
Oh my God.
But it was amazing, and it was good to challenge that fear that I had about being out in the water that far, and then getting to this white sand and quiet, and it was just chill. So yeah, I think just being able to just get into nature, like just I don't care where it is, like get into some nature, it will create a little shift for you sometimes when you need it.
Yeah. It makes you forget about everything you're picking up in the concrete jungle.
It showed me what was important, right? Because all I was thinking about was keep this boat afloat. Let me get to where I'm supposed to go.
No sudden movements.
No sudden movements. We good. Right?
That's funny.
Yeah, because it's like funny. You start understanding the bigness of the world, right? And when you're dealing with all your challenges and stuff, you start thinking, oh, this is so important.
Right.
But when I got on that ocean, I said, it's not that important. Yeah. It's not that important.
Everything into perspective.
Everything
in
perspective.
There's more stuff.
So speaking of the stuff, the title you chose today was what?
The other side of healing.
Yes, that's a good focus. That's
Yeah.
a good focus. So I wasn't sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until I was asking, like we started speaking about it earlier. So for you, when I heard this,
Uh-huh.
something came up into my mind about what that looked and felt like.
Okay.
But I was interested in hearing yours.
Yeah.
And so that idea, not even idea, that actualization of the work that goes into healing.
Yeah.
After you're doing the work and you're familiar with the work, what does that feel like for you?
It's very shifty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a lot of emotional movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Mm-hmm.
somatic
Mm-hmm.
in being. Um,
Are you remembering it in your body?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
yeah. That's what somatic is.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you did there.
I'm good at it.
But yeah, there's a lot of remembering.
Yeah.
There's a lot of still reconciling and recognizing that there's reconciliation that needs to happen before healing takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you very present. And I think that's what I'm in now. I'm in like, um, I don't think you're, for me, um, I'm always present to the actualization of healing, the fact that I need to heal,
The
you know,
process. Yeah.
yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
it's not just like, okay, I'm healed and that's it,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I mean, that's maybe. I think there was a time where I felt like you get to go through one thing and then it's done and it's over and you never
Right,
have to feel it. But
right,
I think it's that commitment, right, to the lesson that makes you think, oh, I've committed to this thing that I'm never going to do this, whatever this is, and it gives you this idea that so that means you don't have to ever face this thing again, right?
right,
And we were talking about it like the challenges that come up in your life are always very similar.
yeah,
Like when you think about it, it's like the things that are your triggers, the things that are your learning cues, they're never that like off. And so the sweet part of that is when you do get to learn a lesson, you get to go back to that thing and go, oh, I recognize what this is. I recognize this. Maybe a relationship didn't go the way you wanted it to go,
right,
and it bumped into the boundaries, the firm boundaries that you set, right? And you have to recognize it and go, oh, this, I can't even allow this thing to go forward because
yeah,
this boundary I put in place was there for that reason.
right.
You mentioned something about the was it aloneness? You didn't say lonely.
Um, Before we started,
Mm-hmm.
I was talking,
You didn't. I don't think it was lonely. You said it was like that choice you
no, I
making.
think I was mentioning that with
Oh, thanks,
right,
Nikki. Isolation.
yeah,
Right.
with healing comes
Mm-hmm.
isolation.
Mm-hmm.
That can
Mm-hmm.
get a bit lonely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of choosing not to return to the space that you were in
Yeah.
or that you were healing from, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So there's a lot of sometimes judgment, harsh judgment
Mm-hmm.
that comes with healing. And I think that's how you recognize that you're healing, that it's an active word, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
as much as you might be healing from one particular situation, there is so much that goes on and that layers a situation that you can't learn all the lessons,
Huh.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
from just saying from that. Sometimes there are so many different aspects of the situation that you need to heal from
Mm-hmm.
that there's a reason why we sometimes return to those similar places, because we're not yet done healing all the layers.
Can you ever? I
I
mean,
don't know.
can because
That's
it's the layers is part of. the growth, right, and the adjustment. I don't know if, and healing is interesting. Like the using the word healing, like you're thinking about closure, you're thinking about acknowledgement, and and sometimes you don't get any of those things, right? And so, where do you put that, right? Because that healing isn't necessarily going to be external; it has to be internal, right? So, to me, that's where my layers are. Right. That it's when we think of like the structure of our skin, the dermis and the epidermis and so forth, and you scratch a layer, that layer might heal, but there might be still some soreness underneath as the other part is slowly beginning to, fuse together and heal as well. And I think that's a lifetime journey, because the more I learn about myself, the more I realize that the active part that I've played in experiences that I walked away feeling that healing was necessary. Like it was that duality, right? That space of looking up and going, I have a responsible part in this experience. That's the hard part for me. When I it hurts if you look at a situation that disappointed you and you go, it's external, right? So you can point and see it all and be really good at it. It's when I look in and I keep a focused vision on not what happened outside, but what was going on inside of me that allowed me to be in that position to learn that experience, right? And it's starting to change I heard this term, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. I am I'm working on embracing that concept. Yeah. Because that takes a big responsibility. It does. Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. And it also shifts your perspective on how much worthy energy you give to that situation. It kind of takes the pressure off of you a little bit, you know. I think that the truth in that is you stay consistent being exactly who you are at all times, no matter what, right? And this way, there's no volume turning on switch that has to happen. You're always at the level of this is the way that I want to engage in these relationships and these experiences. Yeah. And, um, and I think when you just stay like that, then you got to remember how to do anything. Exactly. Right. So it's like your showing up is actually true, right? There's nothing um, fake or everything's intentional. Yeah, and it's not always fake, right? It's not always fake, but it's effort. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I'm struggling right now with I'm very careful about putting out too much of like my personal life out in the world. Because some of the stories aren't just my story. But I'm thinking I'm okay with sharing this. I was observing Ade and his grandmother. And so she turned 95. That was the reason why we went there. Yay, and happy birthday. Yeah, it's just it's a true blessing to just experience their relationship. Yeah. And the way that she loves him and the way that he loves her is yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see. And so there was something that he was doing, that he was assisting her to get into her bed, and he cradled her and picked her up, and he was just so gentle with her, right? And just like the smile on her face, that her grandson, who is like her son, was there caring for her. I realized that this isn't happening because she's getting on in age, right? This kind of relationship that they both had has always been. And so there's actually nothing extra that he's doing except being exactly who he is to her and who she is to him. Right. And I think that's the awakening that I had when I looked, and I said that space of consistency and discipline of living your process by your truth. And so even if even if it feels something as simple as, my mother used to say something like, who left the dish in the sink, right? And, there's a chorus and not me, right? And she said, well, not me doesn't live here. And everyone, if you see something,
Right.
pick
Do
it up and
something.
clean it so you could be
Right.
part of this situation.
Right.
And it's just that kind of thing, that consistency of not just, it's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
If I'm part of this whole, um, then whatever is happening, I'm a portion of that responsibility as well.
Right.
That's the other side of healing for me, accepting that, like, because that is a struggle. Because you can get stuck in the very, railing against the situation, and why is this not, like, nothing ever works out for me,
Right.
or I'm so unlucky, or I can never be in a relationship where I'm appreciated, or I don't,
Right.
whatever, all the things that we whisper to ourselves. When I start taking responsibility for why I'm where I am, then I start shifting, maybe not even what's happening, but how I'm receiving what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess yeah, so that's I guess that's relatable to how you function while you're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I guess I have to get accustomed to is that you're always active in healing. And, I used to get like, oh my God, there's no like quiet time where I get to experience the joy of healing.
It depends, right?
It depends.
It
It
depends.
depends.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on like you said, how I look at the context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, but it's like right now I'm having an experience where like I feel like if I'm being manipulated, and um I'm recognizing that um the person can be manipulative, but because of the situation, it's like I am kind of like forced to put how I feel and to reconcile those differences. Like there's not space for that right now because I'm needed. So anything that I feel has
Right.
to be put on hold,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and
And those are roles, right?
their roles, but
Right.
there's a bit of, if I'm being truthful, there's a bit of like kind of resentment that
Yeah.
comes with it,
Those are part of the roles too, right? Because that space of responsibility, well, whatever I think I'm doing, I'm consciously trying to make a decision that I'm making my intention to be here, right? Whatever it is, right? Even when I don't like it, even when I feel like I wish I didn't have to be involved in it, but there's things in life that comes up that you are the one, right? Um, and I think parenting, being a child of a parent who's getting older, um, being part of community, there's times where I look and I go, I wish I wasn't the one who had to be doing this, right? That being said, the space of resentment, for whether if it's like you don't want to be the one, or manipulation feels like it's present, or so forth, I still come back to that thing of what's my involvement in this, right? And if I can't get out of it, right, I can't get out of whatever it is I'm doing, like I am the person, then, and I'm feeling resentment towards it, that's when I start looking for help. Like, so the weight of whatever is that I'm carrying doesn't have to fall completely on me, right? Because there's truth in those feelings, right? Like, if you were going this way all the time, and all of a sudden now you're being told you have to go this way, and that's not really the way that you want, but you have to go that way, yeah, I can see how resentment can show up. But now I have to go and find people to help me so I can stay on my path, as well as the other thing being done. And that, back to the healing, is the other side of it, is the ability to, for me, to receive help and to ask for help, right? Because that is the vulnerability part,
right?
The vulnerable part of going, I'm going to risk I'm going to risk it again. I'm going to risk somebody helping me. I'm going to risk asking. I'm going to risk showing up vulnerable because this person might disappoint me, whatever.
Right.
But my healing says that it's okay if that happens.
Right.
That shouldn't affect how I show up in this world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think sometimes it's easier said than done.
Oh God, absolutely. It's the most difficult thing ever. It is.
It is.
And that's the constant. That's the constant lesson that keeps happening. So one day, one of my sons, we have like these really great conversations. I'm like, I get to see different age groups based on like all the children when we're interacting, and I'm hearing their
Isn't
stories.
That wonderful?
What?
They keep you connected.
Look, I'll be like, that's what's happening, Lord. Okay, right. And we were talking about. Well, he was actually speaking about being able to show up as yourself, as your loving self, and how that makes people uncomfortable, right? And I've heard you say things like that, like you're not gonna not be you, right? And not to curtail that ability to just be loving, but where does the discernment come in? Which is what I asked him. When you keep realizing, you keep putting all of this out, and all of this is not for everybody, right? If it's not being appreciated, how do you use, what tools do you use really to be able to use discernment that all of this that I'm giving may not be for this particular situation?
Right. Most of the times, when I find out how to discern, I've already given, right? Because I think that's how, apart from someone having like a red flag, yeah, it's gonna make you think and pull back, right? But most of the times, a person like myself, individuals may not pull out their red flags in the beginning because they really want to get to know me, right? I really want to get to know them, right? Just based on how you show up,
right? The human connection.
Yeah. So, in most situations, like I said, I've already ventured in and shown, not even all. That's what sometimes gets to me. Like, oh my God, if it is that you can't handle this little surface part of me, what is going to happen when I unleash everything? You know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the unleashing though, right? It's the unleashing, and that's what I was talking to Sawande
about.
right? We were like, okay, so you pour out all of this, but if people aren't really ready to receive
it,
and you start seeing it, those red flags come up that makes you feel whatever, right? And you pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
That's discernment to me, right?
It is discernment, right?
But that is the tool.
Right.
But you're saying you have to be inside of it to feel the thing, and then you can use discernment.
So what I'm saying is, most of the times, because of the connections that I've already made, they really want to make that connection, right? So they're not showing up. Maybe they aren't showing up as their authentic selves in the beginning, right? But to answer your question, yeah, if I see something that where I need that kind of triggers my need to have discernment.
Yeah.
Yes, discernment is the tool that I'm going to use to pull back, right? I start asking myself certain questions, questioning. I'm very querying in when I'm dealing with people, how I'm feeling, how it affects me,
right?
So yeah, those are the tools that I use, you know. But sometimes though, because I'm a person who gives a lot of grace,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling someone that the other day, in a conversation, like because I give a lot of grace and because I want someone to really show me their authentic selves, because for me, sometimes I think that, okay, yeah, they're not showing up as their authentic selves. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
still kind of like, you know, in their representative phase, you know, so I kind of like, um, oh, I kind of allow the connection to develop and to
Mm-hmm.
play out
Mm-hmm.
so that I can actually experience the person in their truth.
How long does that take sometimes?
For everybody, it's different,
But sometimes,
you
like
know.
how long do you think?
Um, well, sometimes it's years,
Right.
you know,
Because it's time.
because it's
Yeah.
time. It takes
Yeah.
time, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I can remember from another segment. I'm not here to do relationships that are flaky.
And that's the part that I wanted to just have that word sound out in the world, right?
Right.
It does take time.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing about all these experiences and all these hurts and all these um very powerful tools that we gain.
Right.
I'm not as ignorant as I was when I was 15
Right.
to now, right?
Right.
So my ignorance has lessened because I've had some experience and I know
Right.
some things that I can go, oh, I can weigh this experience
Right.
out that I actually had, as opposed to when I first started out in life and going, I mean, I don't know what's happening, right?
Right.
Now I can go, oh, I recognize this thing.
Yeah.
That happened before. I may not deal with it in the same way, but at
Right.
least I have a foothold, you know, with it. That space of giving grace
Mm-hmm.
is like, I don't know, sometimes I've been asking myself, am I giving too much grace?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
That question comes up for me too.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, is it that there's, you can't just allow things to just keep on keeping on. There
Right.
has to be some level of um just taking responsibility,
Right.
you know, for where and what things are.
Right. So in that case, you can take control,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want to, because sometimes when we say control, we think that that word is like too much of a harsh word,
Mm-hmm.
or it's what's the word I'm looking for?
It's so final.
It's so final,
Yeah.
you know, but
Mm-hmm.
no, sometimes you do need to take
Hundred
control,
percent.
right?
100%.
Especially if you 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 don't want to compromise your core values,
Ever.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Ever.
So yeah, it's a thing, like to
But it's
really understand how much grace
and
that
that
you're
thing
going
that you
to
spoke
give.
about, those internal questions that you're querying, you're constantly querying you're querying others.
Right.
Nikki has a question up for us. You know, how do you recognize when you're giving too much grace, niece and nephews?
You really think Nikki wants us to tell
Nikki
people
there,
that she have the
they know
question?
Nikki behind the camera, pulling up a whole side. Nikki there.
I love these. Yo, if it's anything y'all are gonna get from these
Look,
segments,
it's
it's
real.
the realness, okay? Like,
She's like, stay on topic. Come back. Where y'all going? The whole conversation.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's that place of thinking that if I give people enough space, then
they'll show up
they'll show up.
differently.
But really, it's true they do. But with the investment of my time, my spirit, my emotions, and so forth, that is allowing for that to happen.
Right.
And now I'm being supported to go. You don't have infinite amount of time to allow for all that
Right.
learning,
That.
and so there's situations where now I'm going, okay,
Yeah.
let me have a consensus around with me with the people who are heart of the situation.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Right?
Right.
Are we all in one accord?
Right.
And I'm able to listen to very sensible advice that helps me to make decisions that
Right.
doesn't allow me to just be forever giving into something
Right.
in the hopes that something else is going to come up. Because
Right.
some situations,
So
I don't
true.
have time for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was talking to Audra the other day, and I'm at a point in my
Audra needs to
life.
come on because you keep
I
mentioning
know.
Audra
Shout
needs
out to
come.
Audra.
Second the floor, Audra.
No, Audra
Audra,
first.
are you coming,
That's what she
Audra?
calls
This
herself,
is
the
I love it.
Audra
Okay.
verse. Yeah,
Audra, come
we
in.
need to have her come on with it. That would be such a good come. But I was mentioning it to her the other day, and I'm at a point where I think, and this is where the other side of healing gets a little bit final. And this is where you connect your wellness to your healing experience. Like, it's like I am at a point where if someone who is approaching me does not understand or know the type of relationship that you want to have with me, don't approach me at all. Like, I'm really at that point in my space.
So if they don't know what they want,
if you don't know what you want, the connection that you want to establish with me, whether it be business, whether it be friendship, whether it be something intimate, whether it be whatever it is, don't approach me. That's how I feel. Because I think sometimes we take so much, and this is where the responsibility becomes switches from being more a burden than responsibility. Sometimes we take on a bit too much responsibility in our interaction.
Understood.
We forget that the other person that we're interacting with has a responsibility to us as well as themselves, showing up, in their truth. So yeah, that's just
I know we're supposed to wrap up in about 5 minutes, but that's a great point, and I want to kind of delve into it some more. That space of being able to be that sure about that meant that there had to have been a lot of lessons that was learned. And so within that, it's the acknowledgement on that other side of healing is a celebration of, hey, I've reached this point, right? I've reached this point where I can go, I'm working to be able to show up intentionally in relationships. And I'm expecting those who are going to share that relationship space with me to be doing at least the same or if not more, right? And those are, I think, if we hold those higher values, we allow ourselves to not just rise out of that space of not knowing, the ignorance, right? But to a space of more knowing, where it's not just about the red flags, but you get to dance and then flow, within that healing space. Because there's gonna be things to heal, until you until you close your eyes, there's gonna be something that's gonna make you go,
always.
Oh, I didn't like that, right? And how do you maneuver through that?
Always. And I'm not saying it from a space to be of. I know I said it with a lot of passion.
But you're a passionate person.
I am a passionate person.
So it comes across. That's the thing.
But it just like you said, there has to be some sort of intentionality that goes into how we connect to others.
And that is passion.
Connecting is so frivolous these days, and I think that is what I kind of want to minimize in my interactions with people. The frivolity, the experimentation, and although there's healthy experimentation, I want to experience that when we do have a healthy, a good connection, when we understand what it is that we are doing for each other, if anything at all.
I think that definitely is a space that you come to after having experiences that allow you to cherish yourself. Right? And I wish that for everybody.
I do too.
I do, because the coming together of that is such a powerful dynamic, the kind of relationships you could have with people, that you could just be your honest self.
It is.
And be able to do the things and say the things that are part of your core value, and that person could meet you there. Doesn't mean that you're not going to agree to disagree.
Right. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be imperfect either.
Exactly.
It just means that if it is that I'm doing the healing work,
come on.
I need you to understand that I'm doing the healing work, the context in which you're meeting me in.
And it's those spaces, being able to express that, right? We then open up the door for that other person to be able to do the same.
Yeah.
And so, can get a little wild, but
It can.
the boat don't gotta tip over.
Exactly. It
It really
doesn't.
don't.
I like running through the wildflower fields too.
But with boots sometimes.
Right. No, I like barefoot though.
I mean, I was in some pineapple patches in Jamaica, yo. I needed shoes. It was not feeling good.
Right.
All right, it was good.
Yeah, that was a good segment. That was really good. So, nieces and nephews, tell us what your other side of healing experiences are. Um, how you approach them, how you feel when you're in them. Don't forget to put them in the comments. We do want to hear from you.
Getting ready.
Right, Khadija?
Yes, we
What
do.
you getting ready for?
You're my
She
favorite
always
part.
getting ready for something.
Because I feel like you need to sit up to this part.
So anything that you may have heard that may have touched you, or you want to share it with someone, don't forget to share, subscribe, and please don't forget to do what?
Bang the bell.
Bang the bell. You just love that part.
Bang the bell.
Banging the bell.
No bell. It makes no sense to me.
So that means we need to get a bell.
I have a bell, I have a bell. So yeah, we can use a bell. Okay. Right.